Hello, I have a magic trick for you all. What you see here is a blank sheet of paper. But a picture appears! This is why artists use light boxes.
Yeah. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my art channel. As you could see from that little intro, I'm doing a piece of traditional art today. We're doing a watercolor painting based on the myth of Persephone and also pomegranates. Mostly pomegranates, because it's that time of year. Excuse my little head popping in and out of this section. I'm bad at judging where the camera is. But for this piece, I wanted to practice with my watercolors, obviously, and as you could see just then, I was putting some masking fluid over the main figure in the piece so that I could focus on the background first. Because in traditional art, that's what you're supposed to do. I'm learning things. But yeah, for this piece, I actually did do some color comps on the computer to figure out what colors I wanted to use. Oh wait, one second. This is where we peel off the masking fluid. This is probably one of the most satisfying things in the world, and I really wanted to get some close-ups of it, but I forgot to hit the record button, as you can see by the lack of a little red record symbol in the corner of that camera. But I did eventually realize that, and here are the nice close-ups, and I'm actually really impressed with how well the masking fluid peeled up. This is only my second or third time. This was only my second or third time really using masking fluid, and I think this was the first time I managed to use it without ripping up any of the paper, and I'm not sure if that's because I was using a hairdryer to dry the background and it kind of melted the masking fluid, or if maybe I just applied it thick enough this time, or this paper just really likes masking fluid because this is a different paper than I have used in the past. But it worked out really well. So when I went in for the figure, I wanted to start with the hair, and this is actually not the final hair. I ended up going back later and darkening it a bit. I really wanted her hair to contrast with her skin, and the skin just ended up being darker than I originally wanted, and so well, not darker than I originally wanted, it looked too dark in comparison to the hair, so I ended up going back and redarkening the hair. And that is that. What I've learned about watercolor so far, just from my experimentation with it, is that there's a lot of fiddling, there's a lot of going back over sections and redoing sections and wiping color away and adding color and adding more color than you think, and I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it, but that's sort of the feeling that I get with it. Oh, and this was one of my favorite parts of this piece was the pomegranate flower that she's sort of sprouting out of, and I'm really upset with myself that I didn't get a very good shot of just that initial color bleed of the red. Like, one of the things that I really love about watercolor is just the process and the way the color spreads through the water, the way the pigment spreads through the water, and it's just really beautiful. So let's just take a moment and enjoy how the red is just running through the water and spreading to where it needs to go, just through gravity. Yeah. And a lot of the times when I paint in real life, with traditional art rather than digital art, I'll usually mix my paints, but for the base layers of the pomegranates, I just used pure alizarin crimson. And I really like the effect that that had. I don't know. I'm talking as if I know things. I don't really know things, but I like the way it looks. And yeah, I liked the way the pure pigment just worked out. And if you don't know, I'm using QoR Watercolors, just their 12 color introductory set. And I do use a little bit of purple. That's the Winsor Newton Cotman Dioxazine purple, I think. Let me check. I have the tube like over here. Don't mind me as I'm shuffling around. There we go. Yeah, the purple that I have is the Winsor and Newton Cotman Dioxazine purple. And that's the only purple watercolor I have, which I really want to get the QoR Dioxazine purple, or just any purples from the QoR line, because I really like the QoR watercolors and I think they work really well together. And I really like purple, and their introductory set didn't come with a purple. So I usually just have to mix my own or use the Winsor & Newton one I have. Anyway, that ramble aside, here I am going back through with the hair. I think at this point I'm just using a straight Payne's Gray to add this layer of pigment. And I have it fairly saturated, mostly the pigment and not the water. Again, I'm talking as if I know things, and I don't really know things. But here we go, and I'm adding little wispies. I do end up going back later to kind of blend the hair a little more and add some more really itty bitty wispies. And it was around this time when I'm adding this purple shadow. This purple is a mix of the Payne's Gray and the Winsor & Newton Dioxazine purple and ultramarine blue. But it was around this time when I started to really feel like the painting was coming together, because before this I was just kind of like, this looks awful, what am I doing? And then when I added in those purple shadows, it just added this new dimension to the painting, and that I was just like, yes, this is what I wanted. So yay for purple shadows. Yeah. And I also wanted to add a few more layers to the pomegranate flower. I could have done a better job at executing this flower. It does not look extremely flower-like. It's more the suggestion of a pomegranate flower rather than an actual pomegranate flower. I was looking at reference, but I think it was the angle of that just made it difficult. But overall, I think it worked okay. One thing I did struggle with a little bit was the itty bitty details of the pomegranate seed that she's holding. I wanted it to look sort of translucent and almost gem-like, the way that pomegranate seeds do look, because I do find them to be extremely beautiful. I mean, the whole reason that I wanted to paint this was I had recently gotten some pomegranates from the grocery store because I love pomegranates and it is the season for pomegranates. And I was just de-seeding the pomegranates so that I could, eat the seeds at my leisure and not have to worry about taking them out of the fruit, because that's a whole process. And just the way that the juice was getting all over my hands and the little pomegranate seeds just shined in the light. It just really inspired me, and I wanted to paint something like that. And I don't know if I truly did the seed justice, but you know, it is what it is. And here I'm adding the juice dripping down the hands, and I really think that's one of the moments where it really started coming together after the purple shadows, like I was saying before. But I really like how the juice sort of also looks like blood, and so if you look at this painting a certain way, it almost looks like she's a little vampiric, and I like that. I mean, obviously she doesn't have like the fangs or anything, but the really dark hair with the pale skin and the bright red lips. I don't know. I like that aesthetic. It's got a little spook to it, and yeah. And I originally wasn't planning to have the pomegranate juice anywhere except for her hands and running down her arms, but I realized that it really pulled the piece together a bit more if I added it to other places. So as you saw a little bit ago, I kind of had some running up her legs, like she's sprouting from the pomegranate flower that's starting to fruit, I guess. And so like the juice is all up there. Oh, and here I am adding a little more details to the hair, a little more wispies. I forget where I was going with that, but yeah, so I added some juice like running up her leg coming from the flower fruit that she's coming out of, and then later I do go through and add some juice all over her dress, and it looks really cool, and I'm excited about it. One thing I did simultaneously struggle with and enjoy were just the little teeny tiny details. You know, just then I was going through with my little itty bitty brush, and I just think it's funny that I keep going for like really tiny details in these paintings, because I guess I don't work particularly large on paper, and I think because I'm afraid of it. But this is actually the largest painting that I have done so far, at least on my own. I did a paint night once anyway, but yeah, at 9x9 this is the largest watercolor painting that I've done so far. And I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah. So I'm just adding the finishing touches, some little highlights in white gouache just to make that juice look shiny. Juice/blood, you know. And of course I'm adding it to her lips and her eyes. I decided not to put pupils in her eyes because I was afraid to, because I feel like whenever I add pupils to things, the first couple of times they always look wonky, and that's okay in digital art, but in traditional art, if I add pupils and they look bad, it's gonna mess the whole thing up. So I made the stylistic choice to leave those out. But here is the final piece. You can see I am pulling off the tape. I wanted to tape it in such a way so that the paint could go all the way to the edges rather than having that white border. I do enjoy a white border occasionally, but for this one I wanted to use the full piece of paper. So we'll just enjoy that peeling right now. And there we have it. That is the finished piece. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, hit like and subscribe to see more from me. I don't think I'll have prints of this up on my Redbubble just because it is that non-traditional shape, because I decided to do it diagonally on the paper rather than square. So I don't know how those would turn out on Redbubble, but I might do some like limited run prints, maybe out of like if I print them myself. I don't know. Let me know if you're interested in getting this on prints or merch or whatever, and I'll see what I can do. Again, thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye!